This school year just started, and there's already been a horrible mass shooting in Minnesota. I've never made fun of a school shooting, obviously, and I'm not going to, but the way the right responds to them feels like fair game. Anytime it happens and the news first breaks, Cat Turd and his insufferable ilk rush fearlessly to their keyboards to get out in front of it. They're like, this is sad news. Just a reminder to all the libtards out there, it is disgusting to take a tragedy like this and make it about politics. What, the shooter was trans? Wake up and smell the truth, America. I mean, hey, culture ain't gonna war itself, y'all. And then the tweets start. They're like, this shooter was trans, but also so was this one, and this one, and this one. It's a pattern, right? Well, those stats are dubious and misleading, natch, but it doesn't matter. They've drawn their conclusions, which they only seem to do when it's convenient, by the way. Anytime someone shoots up a school or gets caught with a basement full of lady skin lampshades or the like, and turns out to be a white guy, so you know, most of the time, these same people just go, well, there's no way to make sense of something like that. But the less than 1% of the time it actually is a trans person, all of a sudden they got more answers than a coked up Ken Jennings. Also, calling this shooter trans is leaving out context, which checks out considering context is right up there with empathy and brown people on the list of things they want permanently banned from the country. But Westman was also into Nazi shit and nihilism and left behind a barely coherent journal. So this person was obviously, to use the clinical term, all fucked in the head, which I would argue is always the case for anyone who would do something like this, right? And nowadays, MAGA might actually agree. They're like, no, you're right. Mental health is the real problem here. It's like, okay, first of all, y'all are the ones who tell men it's gay to feel stuff, so that's interesting. But okay, fine. So how would you solve the mental health crisis? Easy. First, we ban all mental health drugs. Feels counterintuitive, but okay, then what? Then we return to the Lord. Ah, yes, the old put God back in schools, the old thoughts and prayers every time. Well, this tragedy happened in a church, and we get a new one every other week, so you'll forgive me for feeling like the T's and P's ain't getting the job done, all right? But I better watch it here. They're very sensitive about this right now. They're like, how dare you chastise people of faith for turning to prayer in their time of need? It's like, look, if you're a victim, no one is chastising you for praying. And even if you're a politician, no one's mad at you because you pray. We're mad at you because you won't do anything else, right? Like Jimmy Carter would have caught a lot more shit if he just prayed for poor people to have houses, but he didn't. He prayed, and then he picked up a fucking hammer, right? But the point is, y'all don't know how to solve the mental health crisis, and I don't either, okay? Mental health is just one of the consistent factors here. The other thing that all mass shooters have in common, regardless of race, gender, ideology, is they are heavily armed. And you can deny it all you want, but if we just made it harder for dangerous, unstable people to get a gun, things might improve. Sure, those people would still snap, but maybe when they did, they'd accidentally blow themselves up in a basement, or they give up when they realize they suck at throwing ninja stars, or whatever, and lives could be saved, right? But no, you're right. We'll just keep blaming trans people and crossing our fingers and bowing our heads and shit. I'm sure that'll start working any minute now. And the worst part about, well, no, not the worst part. The worst part is obviously what happened. But one of the things that bothers me the most about this is you don't just see this from the cat turds and stuff and people online. It's not just that where you see these type of rhetoric, as always is the case. In 2025 America, you also see it in the media. Let me show you what I mean.
All right, let's take this article with this headline. And some of you are thinking, I can tell by looking at this, it ain't real news. Yeah, you know who probably can't tell that? Your Aunt Tammy. She probably gets all her news from michaelsavage.com, all right? You need to know about this stuff. And this headline says that Robin Westman confessed notice the he there, was tired of being trans. I wish I'd never brainwashed myself. So they moved beyond just talking about the fact that the shooter was trans. They've moved on to, but did you know that they admitted that we were right? We were right all along. How good does that make you feel, right? These people never pass up an opportunity to capitalize on a tragedy. Some of the coverage you're seeing, this is just a fraction of it, though. If you use the Ground News Chrome extension to click through to the full coverage, you can see some of the other headlines and how it's being covered elsewhere, right? Like if you look at the right-leaning outlets, a lot of fear-mongering, unsurprisingly. This one calls Westman a rapist. It talks about racist, anti-Semitic hate, death appeal. Breitbart says that the suspect pinned a Jesus picture on a target and talked to a demon in a mirror. Shoo-wee. That's tough stuff, right? That makes you real scared, real afraid to be an American right now, doesn't it? That's sort of what they're going for. Fear sales, baby. But if you look at, like on the center especially, it's more straightforward. I feel like more kind of, what we know about Robin Westman. Tragedy in the sanctuary. Church shooting leaves community reeling, Not quite as sensationalized, I would argue, on the center, or in fact on the left right now. And this is the type of context that you get when you use Ground News. for your media consumption, because that's what Ground News does. So they put all the coverage of any given story together in one place so you could see it. You get the broad picture yourself. You can make your own decisions and draw your own conclusions because they add context and transparency to your media consumption. And you see the factuality rating, the bias. You can see where the money comes from right here. Just so much more than you're going to get anywhere else. And in this day and age, couldn't be more important.
So yeah, if you want to be more informed, you can scan that QR code there or click the link in the description below. You can get Ground News today for 40% off their highest tier Advantage plan. That's $5 a month. That's the one with all the perks, the features. That's the one I use. Be more informed, get more transparency, get more context, push back on the bias and BS. Y'all check out Ground News today. All right, YouTube, man, we're back. They've been having a field day with this information that, apparently this shooter was trans, or at least was, and then regretted it and what. So it's like cloudy what even is the case there, but they've been going off on it. I made the mistake of diving into the conservative subreddit and seeing their response to this news, and one of the top upvoted comments on there was the top one was from somebody saying, this is from the people that talk about empathy all the time, and then they do this. And then right under that, a long, paragraphs long comment was like, yeah, but here's the thing about liberals and people on the left and their empathy. They have very selective empathy, all right? Sure, they talk about empathy and love and all that, but if you're a Christian, if you're a conservative, if you're a traditional white American, they don't mean you. They see us as something different, something less than. They see us as an obstacle to the things that they want. They dehumanize us and see us as little more than rats and then talk about empathy. It's disgusting. And it's like, I say all this time, these people are immune to irony, but still, even having said that, this almost made my eyes pop out of my head. Like, it's insane how close these people can get sometimes to like almost getting it, but still being miles away at the same time. It's like not an ounce of self-awareness of the fact that like that literally describes what people get upset with them for doing and for being like, is treating other people than less than, trying to sculpt the world in only your image and making no exceptions for people. It's so funny. The persecution complex that so many conservative Christians have should be studied for ages to come because it is truly impressive. But also, look, what happened in Minnesota is unforgivable, obviously. But they're not just leaving it at shootings. Like Jesse Waters, people on Fox News, in the wake of this tragedy, are talking about how trans people are just more prone to violence, period. Not just like shooters, are also like a huge chunk of Antifa is trans. Trans people were just arrested for lighting Teslas on fire and things like this is a problem. And the left refuses to acknowledge it. It's like, first of all, statistically, trans people are way more likely to be the victims of violence, criminal violence, than they are to perpetrate it. But also, it's like, again, in the case of stuff like joining Antifa or setting Teslas on fire, it's kind of like, I mean, what do you expect, bro? Like, you've antagonized and demonized and vilified these people to their face for a long time now. Elon Musk has led the charge on talking shit about trans people. You're surprised that they decide to, give you a little fuck you in the form of a Molotov cocktail and a piece of, property that you own? Like, I just don't, they just want, what do they want? They want to be able to just talk all the shit and marginalize all they want. And what do they want these people to do? Well, I mean, the answer is they want them to just go quietly away. That's what they want them to do. But yeah, if you decide to fucking strap on a gas mask, start throwing bricks through windows because you're tired of this shit, well, fucking look at you. You're everything that's wrong with America. I don't know. But obviously, again, none of that applies to mass shooters. Like I said, I don't care if they're trans, neo-Nazis, both, fucking whatever, everything in the middle and in between. What they are, first and foremost, is a truly fucked up, deranged individual. So maybe we should just try to not arm those people. That's all I'm saying. All right, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Put these things up here if you want a little levity now. Check out this special of mine, Trash Daddy. It's a good time. You can subscribe to the channel here. The other one is my website, TraeCrowder.com, where I keep all my tour dates. I'm a touring stand-up comedian. So yeah, come and see me if I'm coming near you. Either way, keep watching these. I'll keep making them. I love you like chicken. Have a good Labor Day weekend, I reckon. See you, bye.